And just as a short intro, what I do is basically I create very hard tasks for AI so they can learn on. And before I was working in quantum physics and also in data science and deep learning, including before it was cool. But just not to be that much of a nerd, I do also other things. And it's as in free time, and just want to have this slide before I make it, too complicated with this kind of code. So just curious, does any one of you can read that? No one can. So, but we'll be able to proceed this kind of code for machines. So I guess like a lot of us are vibe coding, and vibe coding is essentially translating our natural language into programming language. It can be anything. It can be Python, can be any other language we know, or maybe some others we don't know, but still we have some software engineering skills so we can make it work for ourselves. And if you are using Python or TypeScript, there is an interpreter. So basically you write code, it runs. But if you use either old school languages or even like modern languages, but which are very performant, what you usually do is you compile that. So you translate this programming language into machine code, a code that can be directly run on a computer, be it Macintosh or be it Linux or Windows. And the question is here, can we just skip the middleman? So can we just make it work directly with machine code? So like, let's forget, okay, I don't know if it's the best thing to say on Python, but maybe let's forget about all languages. Well, so the thing is that, this machine code, I know if any of you looked at this kind of code, looks more or less like that. There are no zeros and ones for only one reason, for the reason that it's hexagonal notation. So it's like from 0 to 15 for each, but still it's like not something that can be read. With a few exceptions, like this exception with actual text inside, that this cannot run in DOS. So like, if you cannot, well, the question is, can we look at it in any way that makes sense? Because even if you're a hacker, usually, okay, I know one person who actually looked at this kind of code, but only a single person in my life. Most people don't. And if you want to read it, it's possible. You need to translate it. And the first step of translation is basically to translate into assembly language. It's still like hardcore stuff, but it's also a language that people actually used to program in a few decades ago. A lot of games are actually, which are 20 or 30 years old, actually created in assembly. And and you can translate it from this one to this one. It's almost deterministic. Actually, I think if you know what's the architecture, and then you get some instructions. But usually you want to have something simpler, and simpler in the terms of the compilation is not Python, but it's almost C. It's actually not even C, but kind of C, but you kind of need to have no variable names, you need to guess types and everything. But still, at least you know, oh, there's some if instruction. Okay, I can read that. And if you want to learn assembly, of course, I don't know assembly. Of course, you can talk with AI. I think it's one of the best way of using AI to make us smarter, not dumber. Because if you only use AI for doing things instead of us, we learn nothing, right? And if you have habit, oh, I don't know, so let's check. Then you can actually learn things in a really nice way and very much in our context. Or just play, because all hard things, if you add some graphics, some challenges, can be actually fun games. There's a whole game which does not talk it's about assembly, but it's precisely about assembly. You actually have your whole instructions. Shenzhen.io by Zachtronics. Okay, but let's go how to do it in practice. So it's not about playing games, but also about actually making it automatic. So I'm curious, like, if there's a single person in the room who knows what's Ghidra. Oh, wow, I didn't expect, so wow. So many experts. So basically, it looks like a monster And to some kind, it is a monster, right? It's even a monster, like, created by one of like the top secret agencies. But it's like a very nice monster, and a very nice monster precisely because it's open source. And uh, arguably, it's the best open source solution for reverse engineering. And of course, like if you want to make it slightly nicer, we can use PyGidra. It's an interface. Like it's like actual Gidra, but you don't need to use an app. You can use Python interface, and actually, it's the interface we use. I use at least, or actually maybe not me, but Cloud Code or other vibe coding agents. But who cares? Like, okay, why I care about some software by NSA? Why compare about the compiling? Well, because it's fun. I mean, there's like an old game, River Ride, which just use like you need to avoid obstacles and attack various ships. And one colleague at work used Claude, even not Claude Code, but to look at assembly, to turn the assembly, look there, and basically become immortal. So he looked at the distraction that basically when you die, your number of lives goes down, and disabled that. And he was not like a specialist in security or any reverse engineering. So I wanted to do the same thing, right? I don't want it to be worse. I picked one of games I really loved to play, which is Chromatron. It's a puzzle game about lasers, mirrors, and no story, just pure fun. But the thing is that it does not run anymore. So even like 8 years ago, I emailed its author, says that there is some version for modern Macs, but got no reply. But I said, okay, of course, I can run on Windows. Actually, in modern ones, I can run some emulator, but it's not fun. I want to do something different. Just by the way, this game looks more like this. So my first approach this January was to use Cloud Code and Opus 4.5. I opened Ghidra. So here you see that it's like there are files, this Chromatron exe. Here you see that there is assembly. Here there is C code. And even Cloud Code was able to pick up some elements. So like, okay, so it's not random. It's able to pick some basic stuff. And I use NCP just to connect with Ghidra. And they also super excited that he was able to create something, right? Oh, there's some elements, there's a grid. And even more. But then sooner than later, it turned out into being something like more like a remake with different graphics. And I asked Claude if it's actually in the code, and Claude said, oh, actually, no, I invented that because it's nicer. But the instructions, okay, this is a valid goal, right? But in my instructions, it was, I want a pixel perfect copy. I don't want some remake, any polish. I want it to be exactly the same. And also, it kind of worked, but it was a lot of pain. Like, oh, lasers does not work correctly. So let's fix that. Better, but still not perfect, right? So fix that, better, but not perfect. Fix that, better, but not perfect. So I was annoyed. So say, no, let's have a second approach. Also the same vibe coder stack, just a different thing that Ghidra, different compiler. So I started again, said how to do so. And this time it was, I took for granted that it's able to decode these graphics, but it wasn't. It's not PNG or JPG, it's like some custom formats. At least it got positions correct, right? So it's still a lot. Then said, okay, one hint, there are colors. So fortunately, it was able to pick up on this hint. And so, yeah, it's colors. There are colors. Yeah, so no, it's the third approach. So they just released GPT 5.2 codex. And so let's give it a try, this same cursor. I like it. I left it for a few hours. And whoa, almost the first time in the works. There's some issues with text, but it worked. I said, oh, again, issues with lasers. They cannot know if the shift is correct. But one hint, and actually it worked. Like, oh my God. But I got too perfectionist. So just I wanted to be pixel perfect, not almost pixel perfect. And at this step, it was just annoying. Back and forth. It was claiming that it's perfect, but it wasn't, and stuff. So the fourth approach. There was like a release of Opus 4.6. So give it a try. This time, wow, from the first stage, it was basically having a long plan, worked for a few hours, and got, oh, damn, again, a remake. But actually, a few prompts, it was very close. So only the text was different. And with the text, it didn't manage to do it automatically because there are some system settings, so it's not in the exe file because it was using some system fonts from Windows XP, but they wanted just to be exactly the same. So I vibe coded some weight when I compared myself, and finally I found some obscure font that was precisely the same. And well, it is like that. It's in Rust. You can play that. You can see code. You can compile it to various machines. And the thing is that it's a thing like it's not only me. I mean, just this year, it's like the whole new opportunity of working with machine code. For example, there were like two big projects. One is like SimCity, and not from machine code, but from C, but like very, very well entangled C code into TypeScript. And the other is about Crimson Land. And this also like was idea to a top-down shooter to make it pixel perfect, not something and it's kind of interesting because with trying to remake a game pixel perfect, you also notice a lot of bugs, glitches, things misaligned. You want to fix that, so you need to ask a question. Do you want to remaster it or just have a faithful recreation? And usually the faithful recreation is trickier. But let's get more ambitious. There's like one other game I love. It's Time Shock. It's a pinboard. And say like, oh, it's like graphic looks very, very neat. But this game is from 97. And even I just checked that it could run on DOS. But you still like it's full CD with graphics, with a soundtrack. And I downloaded that from GOG. I say, okay, maybe I can do it. Well, it's kind of costly. If you think that it's like over $800, it's not correct because it's just one session. It was like $2,000 or $3,000. Fortunately, it was within subscription, so it's not. I didn't pay per token. Otherwise, I would get poor very soon. And it's like I was looking at all controllers, all stuff, a lot of time with the reverse engineering graphical formats and stuff, and said, oh, now it's perfect. I opened that. It worked. And like, yes, okay. Actually, it's interesting that this animation below worked and was like, it's like a sequence in the wrong place, wrong controllers, but it was correctly decoded. I gave a few hints. Actually, it's super good to give a few screenshots so we can compare nodes ground truth because it has no common sense that it's not a correct graphics. So it was able to decode this graphic format, but actually at some point I said, no, I don't have enough patience. If it's not able to do the simplest stuff, those kind of logics for those all lights, everything is very complicated. So it will be very, very hard to debug that. So, but anyway, just sometimes it doesn't work. But the question is that does it, when it comes to playing with machine code, is it important or is it only for fun and games? So actually, it is very important because of security. So I work this guy, Michał Kowalczyk, Redford from Dragon Sector. He had discovered some hardware malicious code in Polish trains a few years ago. There was a big story at CCC in Berlin, And just we work that to see if we can use AI to discover malware. And we created one of benchmarks to see if a given model is able to use Ghidra correctly to discover malware we artificially put into binaries of real software projects. And to our surprise, it works to some extent. There are not very complicated backdoors, but the ones that I wouldn't be able to find myself, or actually anyone who has no experience in reverse engineering. And now it's like reverse engineering becomes a skill, not only for like very, very small number of specialists, but actually for basically any software engineer. But also, I think like, okay, one thing is hardware, right? So binaries for hardware, for software. But also we can go with hardware. So for example, I bought recently a thermal camera. Normal people use that for looking at apartments to see if there is some leakage of heat, or if they are doing electronics, if there's some circuit is, well, overheating. I use it for fun. More like I treat it as a camera, making photos, showing friends. But also asking like, can I use it on my computer? Connect to my computer and use it there. And there is an app, but only Windows app, and apparently it's not that good. So again, let's first look at this format, reverse engineer that. Also, it's binary code, so you get a lot of these XXD instructions. And at some point, there was also possible to reverse engineer data to get temperature from images as well. It turns out that they are in metadata. So it's not like guessing at colors, it's actually looking at metadata. So let's see if we actually connect to that. Because if so, it'd be nice. So it's like, let's see the camera, and there is a vibe coded interface, which may work or not. Oh, actually it works. So it's like, oh, it's you. It does not have a function to rotate screen, right? But you see yourself that you are there, right? And it's actually, if I get it correctly, just also I can even adjust its focus. But the thing is like here, my message is now nice. And also this interface, I was able to create the one I wish. There's some cheating involved, I need to say, because this code is also based on one Python library someone else did. So this agent, of course, looks for other pieces of code, which I think is also good, because it's also, well, for me, I wanted to solve the issue. But also then later, I can adjust it as much as I wish. So we are no longer condemned either to official software or some abandoned project that, you know, solve some of our issues, but not all. Also, it's kind of nice in the dark, because you see people are, you know, here and here also. I want to show you as well. So here we have an error, but let's go back to the slides. Okay, so here we have this thing. By the way, all glasses are sunglasses when you look at infrared, at least this wavelength. And also I tried to see which other devices I can connect to. So it's super easy to connect to one like meter of hygrometer and thermometer. It's actually the same temperature and stuff. But also I said, okay, let's connect to a vacuum cleaner. And because I didn't like this app, I wanted to have that interface. I wanted to control it with my computer. But I didn't succeed. And also the first thing, Claude asked me, oh, just give me your credentials. well, next time it will ask about my credit card details. I don't know. So it's talking about security, because even it's IoT, S stands for security, and in vibe coding, IoT vibe coding, there are many S's as well, as you know. But some guy was much more successful. So basically, they connected not only to their device, but also to 7,000 devices in the neighborhood with cameras. Because not everything is encrypted. And sometimes there's some API, no one uses, but if you connect, it works. But the last part is about backpacks. So I brought one LED backpack. So at one conference, I saw a LED backpack. Why not? But it's there is, and I brought it here. But it has a very, so app. And also, if you just put data there, it does not look nice because it's a different resolution. So first, my brother vibe coded this animation precisely for this level resolution. But also, I said, why just to create in Cloud Code animation, then upload to phone, then upload from phone to this backpack, when I can cut the middleman. So also try to reverse engineer this interface with this backpack. There's a lot of looking at what's going on, this Bluetooth interface, and also trying to resetting that when over, showing some small images, and then even trying what's the resolution and asking me if it's clear or not. So we decided, oh yes, it's 64 by 64. And the thing is that you can do various things. So let's maybe put it here. Oh, it's there. And let's go back to those Nyanpak. So one thing I can do is basically send something, because I already vibe coded various animations and stuff and the interface. So let's see if it's able to do so. Do we see? Yeah. It's reset, and at some point it should go there. Oh, something does not. Oh, there is. But also we can also vibe code things. So for example, here I haven't tried that, so just it will try to do so. It takes some time, but in the meantime, before just in the meantime, just a few more slides going on. So just also a few people ask me oh, just it's I need this backpack. I also bought it one myself, but knockoff. And also I also bought it from AliExpress, so just it's a knockoff. And also it's used with consent, just posting it here. And but what's next? I want to think okay, so now also you can interact with old binaries or devices you have at home or new ones, or if it doesn't work, there's some cool data glitches. I think reverse engineering is the best way to mine for the data glitches. Do you want to give agents access to source code? Well, for example, Anthropic says that it's tricky, and they are not releasing that publicly. But what we do what we do here is just we want to push the frontier. So at Quesma, we are basically creating tasks and tests so AI can learn on that. And if you actually are looking for some contracts, you look for people, especially in the security pen testing DevOps, people who are able to see what are the loopholes in AI, how to create tasks that capitalizes on what other blind points. Here's actually a view from our office in Warsaw. And you see it's there, not yet there. So let's, it's still thinking, but it's how it works. But in the meantime, just let me thank you for your attention, and I'm looking for questions.